fixed and flipped for you. He's phenomenal at what he does, and you're lucky to be able to hear exactly from the horse's mouth exactly what to do. So everybody, please welcome Robert Fragoso. Come on up. How are you guys all doing? Great. Good. All right, so I like interaction because, I don't know, otherwise it's just hearing me myself speak. So if I just can maybe start off with a few questions here with you guys. You guys can humor me for a second. How many of you guys are, let's say, real estate brokers? Okay. How many of you guys are investors? How many of you guys are real estate agents? Anyone not licensed? No? All right. Now, just so I can gauge kind of experience levels and so forth, how many of you have been in business for, let's say, more than 5 years? All right. Most of you. All right. More than 10 years? A lot of you. More than 15 years? Let's see. All right. Let's see. More than 20 years? I won't ask you on that. All right. So, what are you guys looking to get out of this today? Because I kind of come, especially a crowd like this, is because you can really have a lot more interaction, and I'd rather have you get exactly what you want out of it than, you know, I don't necessarily have an agenda for you guys. I'll tell you what I do. And
how about an aha moment?
A what?
Aha moment.
An aha moment?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
How about you?
An aha word?
Oh, my buddy does, he's a Monster Marketing member, and I've been working on stuff. I live in Phoenix, so I understand the concept, and it is true. I mean, it's an easy way to talk to people. And I just came today to see what new things could I pick up and learn. So.
All right. So I'll tell you, I appreciate you guys sharing where you guys are at. If I can ask, transaction-wise, just how you guys are doing annually right now, or actually, we don't. Let me just say annually. How many of you guys are closing, let's say, 10 or more, either, let's just say transactions, not even listings or sales? Okay.
A year?
Yeah, a year. All right. And then, let's say 20 or more? Double that? Okay. All right. And so, and how many of you right now are here just to kind of try to see the aha moment, right? Like, what's the trigger? A lot of you, most of you, have been in the business for more than 5 years, right? And, you know, I kind of look at the business a little bit differently than a lot of people, because I got started really young, and part of it is just ignorance, that, you know, I didn't really understand how, you know, difficult it could be, because I didn't know what difficult was. I just knew that you had to do certain things, and when you start off, I'm still a senior in high school, and you know, I didn't know door knocking was tough. It was just my only option, because that was the only option I had, because I couldn't mail out flyers that this is my 28th year in business. I'll give you a little background in case you don't know who I am. You know, we started Anchor Loans in 1998 with Jeff Lipton, Dan Harrington, and Steve Pollock. I got bought out in 2014 and took probably the last couple of years off, easier anyway. And if you guys don't know who the company was, we built it up to be the largest hard money lender in the country, mostly working with just investors. That was my niche. So I'll just say for me, that was kind of all I knew until I was really done with it, and then got us to a little bit more development and flipping and things along those lines that I'm just doing on my own right now. And you know, for me, it's that niche that always kind of helps identify who I was, right, and what I did and how I approached different scenarios. And I think for a lot of you that might be struggling, you know, I think the goal might be a little bit different than maybe what it should be. And so I know you come here, and you've come several times. You probably hear people talking about advocacy and you know, helping people and doing all this stuff. At the same time, a lot of you aren't doing 10 deals a year, which means that you've got to be struggling, right? Or you have other income that comes in and supports you. But, you know, I'm kind of a really firm believer that if you're going to do something, I mean, just go for it. You know, and at some point you've got to just make that decision and have that aha moment where you just decide that you're going to do it. I've been around a lot of construction people recently, so if I curse, is it going to offend anyone? If it does, I'll really try not to. If not, I'm just going to let it fly. Is that all right with you, Lee? I know you're on live over here. Lee, is that all right? You don't care if I cuss? If it comes out, so I just get
It's cold.
It's cussing.
If I cuss, is it all right? Because I don't want to offend anyone.
No, yeah,
All right.
yeah, no, go ahead.
So,
You're asking the wrong person.
so
Let her rip, Robert.
let her rip. All right.
Tell us what you really feel.
You know, I'm a little surprised that more than almost 2/3 of the room isn't doing at least 10 transactions. Because I will tell you, it is super difficult to go out and get transactions when you're seeking money, right? So when you're out there and you're trying to make money, and the goal is to make money, you're looking at the business all wrong. Because this is a business that will eat up, and you know, people will look at you and they'll see that desperation in you, and they won't work with you. As a lender or as an investor, I can tell you the first thing you're not supposed to do is invest in someone who's essentially begging you for money or business, because you're not supposed to be the first investor to invest in someone, because that's the biggest gamble. You want to see some sort of proven track record or some sort of just some sort of flow, like a business flow. And I'm going completely off mic, so if I bounce around a little bit, I apologize. But you know, but I was really kind of shocked by that, because I would assume that, and I've known Lee for a few years. We actually met at a seminar. I don't know how long it's been now, but I'm going to say 10, maybe 12 years ago. And he had heard me speak somewhere, and we had talked, and I don't know, we had communicated somehow, and we just ended up hitting it off because we were talking kind of, I want to say trash about like the typical broker scenario and how they want to train people. And so I'm going to say this, right? For you real estate agents that aren't licensed, let me ask one more question, actually. How many investors that you raise your hand are also real estate licensed? All right, well, actually, because I forgot to raise their hand. How many of you investors aren't real estate licensed? I think it was everybody in here, because everybody was licensed, right? I think that was, all right. So if you're a real estate agent and you've been in the business for more than 5 years, my honest question is, why aren't you a broker too? Because as a client or a potential client of yours, my question would be, do you not care enough about your craft to learn there, and then to be able to control your own income and philosophy? And that doesn't mean that you have to go out and have your own shop and be a broker owner. You can be a broker associate, but you should take your craft seriously enough to be able to do that. And you have a little bit more control that way. Would you agree?
Yes.
Yes. All right. So I speak at a lot of like investment clubs and real estate clubs for real estate investors. My question to them generally is, and I would say in those rooms, it's 2/3 of the room is not licensed. And there's this, I'm going to say fantasy or misnomer that you don't need, because you don't need a real estate license to be a real estate investor. But I always tell them, I said, listen, if you're a seller and you're talking to someone and I'm talking to the same person negotiating against you, I always ask them, I'm like, well, are they real estate licensed? Well, you should check. If they're not, then you have to ask yourself, are they taking their business seriously enough to know all the rules and everything, or are they just kind of doing whatever they want, in which case it might get you in trouble. And sometimes that helps get the deal, because then it just goes to credibility. If you have to do when you're in front of anyone, and this is part of, I'm going to say, the advocacy that they came up with, as well as just, I think the ethics of the real estate business is that your first goal should not be to get the listing or make the commission. Your first goal should be to be able to help the person with whatever help they need and figure out what the trigger points are, so that you can indeed inject yourself into that transaction. And sometimes the right answer is you're not the right person. right? And so what do you do when you're not the right person?
Refer to someone with.
Refer to someone who is, right? That's a great answer. That's the absolute perfect answer. Yet brokers, and this is for you brokers out there that have shops, you create competitions for who gets the most listings, right? And, you know, which I think is the people generally in the office who are the top producers. Would you agree that they're like consistently the top producers? They have an account, they have people that give them listings, they've built that relationship. So having a competition on who the top listing agent is bullshit. Because somebody, 90% of the time, you already know at the beginning of the month who's going to get that award, right? So your competitions should be based on all of the steps it takes everyone to get to that listing. Because the guy that has the relationships isn't door knocking, right? So your competition should be on door knocking. Your competition should be on whatever those core steps are that you as real estate agents or brokers that are out there trying to get listings or transactions should be doing. Do you guys agree? So, you know, it always kills me too when I see, like, I mean, I have friends who are in the real estate business, right? And they have broker shops, and inevitably by March they have the leaderboard, this much money in commissions, and they post it on Facebook or what have you. And I'm like, God, that would kill me because it's March and their top producer has made $38,000. And I got to tell you, you know, I see there's brokerages out there and they're marketing like how to make $100,000 a year in real estate. And I'm just gonna implore you guys to just step it up because $100,000 today is not a lot of money. It takes $100,000 in Orange County to qualify for a 2-bedroom apartment. So if that's your goal, you're fucked. I mean, price seriously, right? And you have to sit there and say, hey, you know what? I mean, $1 million now a year is the new $100,000 because you've got to do that. And it's not that difficult to do in real estate. I mean, you can literally you're talking about, I'm going to share a story with you that someone came up to me. This was 2009. So we all know what happened in 2008. And, you know, many of you guys were in the business in 2008. And if you weren't, it was just a disaster, right? I mean, it was just, if you did not know how to reinvent yourself, and here's your aha word, by the way, is agile. Is having an agile attitude in marketing and having that agility to be able to reflect the scenario that you're at, like an athlete, because you're all real estate athletes. And you have to sit there and go, and when you're talking to someone, figure out what the pressure points are. And so, but going back to the story, she came up to me and she said, you know, I need to make money now. And I'm like, okay, well, you can get a listing, you can find a deal, wholesale it, do whatever. You guys all know what wholesaling is for real estate? Yeah. Yes? Who doesn't? Okay, by now everybody should, right? Used to be a secret, but it was you know, I told her, I said, you know, she's stressed, and you can see the worry, and I mean, just hear the fear in her voice. And so I said, you know, we started to talk, and I said, well, listen, what's the problem? Like, what do you have? And she said, well, you know, I haven't made my payments. And I'm like, well, you're in the business, you know that they're not going to foreclose immediately. It's not like they kick you out tomorrow. You got probably years at this point because of all the programs that they had. And, but that wasn't her mentality. Her mentality was she'd always supported herself. She was always independent, and she always wanted to take those steps. And so when she was struggling and she couldn't make certain payments, it was eating up at her inside. So we sat there and we just wrote everything out. And her total problem amounted to $22,000. And when I pointed out that that's really one commission, then her worries just kind of dropped. Because now her focus isn't on this, it was on get all of this stuff. So whatever the problems are that are holding you back, and for everyone here, it's going to be different. You know, I mean, there's things for me that I've struggled with in the last few years that, you know, I never thought I'd have to struggle with. You know, like, I mean, I was in the hard money business for 17 years, and that was kind of my identity, right? And, you know, as much as we flipped houses and we did all that stuff, and I'm still doing that.